And that's just one high-profile example, and we hope she's safe, and we will see what transpires from this. But over the years, many ordinary Chinese citizens, journalists, politicians who've dared to speak out have been disappeared, end up in jail. I've been a big champion of the Tibetan people for many years. I chair the All-Party Parliamentary Tibetan Group, which is another reason why no doubt the Chinese government want to cancel me. But if you are a Tibetan citizen within Tibet, just carrying a photograph of the Dalai Lama, the spiritual leader of Tibetans, you'll end up with a jail sentence of several years. I mean, they just do not tolerate any criticism, and that's why many of us have called for, and again, Parliament voted for, a diplomatic boycott of the forthcoming Beijing Olympics, which incredibly the International Olympic Committee awarded to Beijing, despite all the publicity about the human rights abuses, despite what's going on with genocide and everything else. It's just inconceivable that we should be sending VIPs to this propaganda exercise in Beijing next February.
And the issue that got you into trouble, in inverted commas, with the Chinese, the plight of the Uyghur people, a brilliant two-page spread in today's Mail by Ian Birrell, who is no amateur in these matters.
Yeah.
The most worrying thing, I mean, Johnson can throw, we won't go to the Olympics and this, that and the other. But there's virtually nothing that we seem to be able to do. They're a mighty world superpower, about to be the biggest economy in the world, and they just do their own thing. That in itself is not worrying, it's terrifying.
It is terrifying, and there's another Sunday newspaper today which has got a supplement with, I think the headline is "The World's Greatest Dictator," with a picture of President Xi and all about his rise to power, and he's there for life, and it's a completely totalitarian regime. So there are things we can do, and the first thing we have to do is to stand up to them. I mean, far too long, I'm afraid, Western governments, including our own, under David Cameron, the great age of enlightenment with close relationships with China, just completely played into their hands because we wanted more investment from China to come to the UK. But it comes with conditions, and we shouldn't have it. So we need to call them out. So on this issue of genocide, parliaments around the world have voted to describe it as genocide, which has annoyed the Chinese. It looks as though the Americans are about to call and follow through a diplomatic boycott of the Olympics. The EU Parliament has voted for that. So we must call them out. But secondly, we must put conditions on dealing with China in the future. And that's why we tried to add to our trade bill that we should not be constructing trade deals with governments who are guilty of genocide. And the government on the back of that has brought in restrictions on British companies dealing with businesses in Xinjiang province where there's a suspicion that products have been produced using Uyghur slave labour. So there are restrictions that are coming in, but we've got to go far further. And frankly, everybody has got to stop buying Chinese goods. That is where they really take notice. That hits them in the pocket, and that's the only thing that's really going to achieve a change in the way China regards its own citizens, but also with arrogance regards the rest of the world.